Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Abacomedes and I am the head of department for the concept art program at the Academy of Digital Arts. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give a very brief overview of the course and what we do at the school, and if you have any questions you can contact us directly on the website. So just brief introductions. Like I mentioned, my name's Andrew Abacomedes. I have a very extensive background in graphic design, and over the last 5 years I have been pioneering concept art education concept art as an academic discipline in South Africa. So as of the beginning of this year, we now run the first accredited concept art qualification in Africa, which we are quite proud of. So here are a few slides that just show a little bit of student life and campus life, and over the last few years we've had an incredible amount of fun, and it's been really awesome to be able to do the things that you love with people that are heading in the same direction. And campus life is always fun. We always attend different events and go on field trips and draw at museums. Obviously we're running in Cape Town at the moment, and unfortunately, due to the latest events with our lockdown in the country, we have had to move to an online platform. So while that is still effective at delivering effective, high quality education, we hope to get back to campus life as soon as possible. So we're hoping by the sort of towards the later part of the year that things will return back to normal again. Otherwise, just to give you a little bit more of a understanding of what concept art is about, I always include this slide over here because there's a lot of misconceptions about what graphic design is, what concept art is, and what illustration is. And to put it simply, you can kind of think of concept art as a form of artwork that is used in the pre-production phase in film, games, and animation. So quite often there's a narrative or a story or an idea, and the concept artist puts together the first visualizations of that. Quite often people that are involved in concept art will also get into production art as well, so they might actually produce 3D models or create props as well. So it depends on the personality of the person and what they enjoy doing. So it's important to know sort of the context of what concept art is, and also to know who's out there and who's doing what, and to learn from the different personalities that are involved in the field. So we have a nice library at the school as well, where we've collected all the books that we need. We've got a subscription to Imagine Effects and all the relevant online offerings that can contribute to the course as well. And we kind of start off the beginning of the year with a little bit of contextualization and a little bit of mindset, so students know what they're in for the year. Then the first subject that we start off with is perspective. So we learn the basics of 1, 2, 3-point perspective, working with isometric perspective. We learn how light works in perspective, how shadows work in perspective. And there are assignments that go with everything. So the students get a chance to learn the new information and then apply it. We also then learn Blender as well. So Blender is free 3D software if you've never heard of it. It's really awesome, and even to create 3D frameworks, which is really helpful. So you don't have to draw everything from scratch in perspective if you know a little bit of 3D. So in concept art, it's not always about being in an art contest with each other. It's about having tools that get the job done effectively and ethically as well. So after we've done perspective, we get into our drawing and anatomy modules, and essentially the goals here is to, one, improve your line work so that you're clear in communicating form, and to understand the anatomy of objects. So not just human anatomy, but animals, and everything essentially has an anatomy, and how to be able to construct that. So not only are your drawing skills improved in this module, but also your understanding of how things are built up and how to construct them from different angles. And we work digitally as well. So here we've got our traditional line art, and here we've got digital line art. So that is very important. We have digital painting, which is one of our subjects as well, and here students learn from the basics to working with brushes, how to render form, textures, materials, and again, even looking at these slides now, the standard that we're seeing from students right now is just off the charts. So keep checking on our website and seeing updated content as we go along. So we learn how to increase our visual awareness by doing studies of other people's artworks, maybe stills from movies, environments, and lots of exercises that help build students' analytical studies as well. So it's all very well to be able to copy one thing, but to be able to apply what you know or what you see in new contexts is quite important. So, for instance, rendering an apple a one-to-one is one thing, but rendering an alien fruit might make use of your ability to render real-life objects in new ways. So we start building your analytical skills quite early in the digital painting modules. We also have a conceptual skills module as well, and that really helps you with improving your ideas and your ability to sort of deepen your concepts, because you can be one of the best renderers and be able to your art skills might be really high, but your conceptual skills might be quite poor, or your ideas are not very compelling. So that has to be sort of balanced with your art skills as well, and then we sort of get much more compelling ideas in our design. So speaking of which, the design in the program, once you've done all your fundamentals and you've done drawing and perspective and you've done your digital painting and you know a little bit of your 3D Blender as well, we start with design. So some student work just illustrating some simple asset designs. So it might be anything from a droid to a simple chair asset. Here we've got some other student work as well. This is quite complicated to explain, but I'll leave your imagination to figure out what this is all about. So it might be something simple like assets for helmets. Alright, and then these obviously have application in video games or in film or in animation. So the initial concepts get made and then they go into productions once they are approved. The reason for this is it's much cheaper to approve a 2D concept than something that has already been 3D modeled or produced, and then you are sitting with something that doesn't essentially work. One of the next modules that we have is character and creature design. So here we've got some student work. Apologies, the slide seems slightly askew. Yes, so perhaps at the bottom left we've got some characters that might appear in a video game. Just above that, some characters that might appear in an animation. So in character and creature design, we learn the various different techniques from working with line drawings or silhouettes and other techniques how to design characters and creatures. Here's some student work from the last few years. Some creature design. There's a close-up of these characters. And then the next module that we have is environment design. So this is arguably one of the harder modules for students, but once you know the basic techniques, it gets a lot easier, and there's a lot of misconceptions surrounding environment design. So again, as the years goes on, our standard improves, and maybe in the next couple of slides you'll see that as well. But after environment design, we have high-end illustration. So that is just creating sort of standalone artworks that you might use for, let's say, trading cards or box covers, or sort of any sort of illustration that might use characters, assets, and environments all in one image. And then towards the end of the year, students generally specialize. So this is one student's project. She did a whole animated show. It was about some vampires, and she designed the characters, the assets, the vehicles that they would have, and even the environments, and pretty much it was an entire campaign. So at the end of the year, our students do different things. Other people have different ideas of what they want to go into. So for instance, if they wanted to go into video games, you could design the whole video game, the characters, the creatures, the environments. If you were into film, you could do exactly the same thing. So we find that students generally specialize at the end of the year. And then towards at the end of the year, students either go out in their work, or we have a mentorship program as well. So here we've got some things from the mentorship program, which is some environment design. We use a little bit more 3D in the mentorship program as well. And we just sort of like, if there's any new technologies that are coming out, because we are kind of a small institution, we're able to adapt really, really quickly. So if there's sort of big changes in technologies, and even at the time of recording of this video, there's been some very interesting developments in particularly in game development that'll change the way that art is being made in video games. We're able to adapt. So we always keep abreast of new tools and new techniques of doing things. So I mean, these are some kit bash vehicles done as well. Some shrine design, some asset and building design. And just before I move on, what I'm going to say here is that our students get the opportunity to do all of these in every module. The mentorship program that we have is almost like an added extra for the students who want to stay on an extra year and sort of perfect their skills. So it is an optional thing. And then the last thing I want to mention here is that the school is quite involved, well, involved as it can be in our current times, pretty much with all the events in Cape Town that are relevant. So events like FanCon and the Animation Festival, and we have our first Thursdays at the school. We have talks as well with industry experts. So we try to keep as connected as possible, because essentially when our students become good enough, usually what happens is people come to us and they ask us, do you have somebody that could do this for us? So, I would say the networking at the school is, it does sort of assist students to start making connections in the industry and going out to events. And it's hopefully, like I mentioned before, things will return back to normal and we can start doing these things. But over the last several years, we've always found that it's been a center of activity. And if you're skilled enough, there's always somebody that's looking for what you have to offer. Alright, so like I mentioned, the new technology side of things, we're always on the lookout for new things. So whether it's working in VR or working with Oculus Medium or Tilt Brush, any new techniques that concept artists are using these days always interest us as well. And we always keep developing the program as we go along. So last things that I can say is if you want to have a look at some more student work, as I mentioned, we're always upgrading and we're always creating new content, so check this regularly again. But you can see some of the student work that's up at the moment, and almost, I would say, every few months we update it and we put the latest stuff as well, and you can see where we're going and where we're heading. Alright guys, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of the program. If there is anything, this is the Academy of Digital Arts website. You're welcome to just have a look on the website and be in touch with us directly, and if there's any questions, we'll see if we can answer them for you. Alright guys, thank you so much.